Good evening, everybody. Welcome to I don't know why I have my headphones on tonight. I don't have anyone that I'm talking to right now, so that's a fantastic start. Now you get to see a little bit of how the sausage is made, because if this were 41 is the mic, I would be getting a restart, but doesn't get to happen on the live stream. So there you go. You get to see a little bit of how the sausage is made there. Every once in a while, what you hear on 41 is the mic is the second take. Everybody, welcome. Hooray, hooray. It is Q&A day. Hopefully I'm not muted. Everything's looking good so far. So this is a tremendous start in our goal to do a less than 3-hour show tonight. I'm off to an absolutely fantastic beginning. I'm sure it can only go up from here. So, and it will definitely go up, because once all of you start asking questions, it inevitably gets better than whatever nonsense that I have planned tonight. Everybody, Chiefs coming off their bye week. Been a slow week to begin to kick off the week so far. We did hear from Andy Reid on Monday. I'm not sure that we learned a lot from Andy on Monday. A few things. Was not very committal on Josh Simmons, and I know we're going to get some Josh Simmons questions tonight. I've already seen them in the queue, so we will tally those up and go from there. Chiefs are back on the practice field. First real availability in person tomorrow. We'll see what everybody has to say, see what's going on, see what's happening. We'll check in with Josh Smith. We'll see if we get to hear from him this week. I'm not optimistic, but things, you never know. We'll see what happens. I don't have much of a monologue tonight. That's pretty much just to kind of kick things off here. As always, fire away with your questions, whether you're on any of the 3 platforms that we're on. I know the majority of you watch us either on YouTube or on Twitter. Great to have you in both those spots. Not as many people over on Facebook. I don't know if the Facebook just isn't a thing anymore. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but not as many of you folks on Facebook, mostly on YouTube and Twitter. But would love to have your questions wherever you are coming from. Fire away. We'll get some answers for you, at least the best to my knowledge that we can get you. And obviously mostly about Chiefs, but I try to do it. Ask me anything. So I'm sure Brian, I see is already in there with, he's always willing to ask me anything. So let's get into it, see what you got going on with Chiefs Kingdom tonight. And we'll see. I'm going to try not to go 3 hours tonight. I'm probably already rambling, but you know what? We're going to go for a focused effort tonight. See if we can make Nick Jacobs proud. And maybe he'll come in here sometime with some high V finds for us all, or some more of his TikTok content. Let's get into it. Luttrell, after the hooray, it is Q&A day. Any new updates on the new stadium? Nothing specific. There have been a few little moments here and there. You know, we got to hear from Clark Hunt a couple of weeks ago. Mark Donovan, I believe, spoke about it a little bit recently. I think the Star had a piece. The Athletic has had some information out there recently. There's a couple of things that are curious to me. You know, one is that the discussions that have been out there would at this point to me suggest that we're probably going to get something after the first of the year. And that's not even to say that it'll be in January, but this process will be going on a little bit longer than I think that the Chiefs would prefer. Again, you know, the Chiefs would prefer for the Royals rather to make their announcement and state clearly where they're going to go, and that would kind of free up the Chiefs to make their decision. I'm not saying that, hey, that the Chiefs want to be apart from the Royals necessarily, but I thought there's an inclination to at least be separated. So at least from a contractual standpoint, they'd like to get away from that. Doesn't mean that both teams couldn't end up in the same jurisdiction or the same location, but I think it's just going to be difficult. You know, I think that's one of the reasons why the Chiefs would obviously like for the Royals to go first. They'd like to see where's the available spot, and where maybe the money could be. It's interesting because, Kansas, when they extended the deadline for the star bonds, they claimed that it was only through the end of the year. Now, statute-wise, they didn't have that option. Their only option was to extend it through through end of June, which was what the law said was their only option, was to extend it for a year. There was nothing about extending it for 6 months. So the Kansas Legislative Council claims that they have only extended it through the end of the year. That's not really the case. Now, there's ways to enforce that. Obviously, it has sense because they could obviously just choose not to negotiate with either of the teams. And Governor Kelly did have a recent comment that I thought was kind of curious about, as far as, not kind of wanting to be fighting over one of these teams. So the bottom line is that I don't think that there's been anything lateral that I think you would say would indicate to you one way or the other where the stadium is going to go. I mean, I think there's probably been a few clues here and there as to what the stadium might look like. We've heard some things about the survey that the team did about what fans want, but bottom line is that I think we're still kind of in the dark about what this team wants from a stadium, where it's going to be. It's still a wide open question. So hang in there, because I'm not sure that we're still going to get the answer by the end of the year. We get these kind of hints and everything like that periodically that, the Chiefs have not an official deadline, but soft deadlines, or at least a point where they want to have something done. But I'm not sure that we're there yet. So not doing a great job getting off to my rambling answers, but I think it's gonna still be a while before we get anything on the stadium as far as location, where it's going to be, timelines. Although I'm still assuming 2031 season, which means that you really do still have time. There's no reason for the Chiefs to rush into this. They've got time on their lease, and we'll get into that. And I see your comment, Luttrell. I'm sure we'll get a Mike Kafka question, so I'll wait for the question to come up before we get into that. But Tyler kicking off with it right there, and I was waiting for this one. It comes in early from Tyler. If you had to guess who starts at left tackle this Sunday, Josh is clearly the more talented player. I don't think that's even a question. And he has had the entire bye week to get reacclimated. And it's a really interesting question about what he was able to do on the bye week, because he came back last Monday, came into the building. It sounds like that there were some teammates, coaches, players around Tuesday maybe to kind of greet him and get him reacclimated. I have not gone into the collective bargaining agreement to see what is and isn't allowed during the bye week. I think there are probably some restrictions. This is probably one of the reasons why Andy Reid was pretty vague on Monday with this, especially when I asked him as far as, what the team kind of did from a reception standpoint, workout standpoint, if there was anything. And Sam McDowell from the Kansas City Star tried to follow up with a similar line of questions, and we didn't really get any answers. So let's see. I mean, for my guess about who starts at left tackle, I think it's going to be Josh Simmons. We're not dealing with an injury. Andy Reid said that it was clear that he'd been working out while he was away, so it wasn't as though he was just sitting around and not getting anything done and not taking care of himself. So I'm assuming that unless there's a significant rust or of any sort, that or any other issue, Josh Simmons will probably start on Sunday. That seems to be the most logical way for it to go. You're like you said there, Tyler. I mean, he had last week to at least work out, to get back into some shape. Is it the same thing as running through drills? No. But again, that we know of, there's no physical injury that he's dealing with. So there shouldn't have to be a whole lot of ramp up. I get that. He left the team on October 12th, so he came in last Monday, I think it's, I did this math earlier, and now I'm doing it again. So I guess it was 23 days that he was gone, came back. That's not a ton of time to miss as far as just staying in the routine and getting some workout this week, getting the regular practice routine. I don't see why he couldn't start on Sunday. We'll see if there's any, but once again, I mean, I think here's the tricky part is that there's still so much that we don't know. We don't know why he was gone. We don't know what kind of shape he is in. We don't know both physically and mentally. I mean, we just don't have any answers. And if there's anything that helps, he needs to ramp up from other than just the physical part of the game. So let's see what happens. But that would be my guess, Tyler, is I think Josh Simmons, unless there's anything develops during the week that's an issue, I would expect that he probably does start on Sunday. I think I'd be surprised if he does not. Brian, I've never, I guess I have, I think I've played bar bingo. I mean, I'm assuming bingo is just bingo. But I'm with Luttrell. I'm going to say you're going to win. So, go for it. Luttrell, is CEH getting another call up if Pacheco is out this week? I thought it was interesting how Andy Reid handled that on Monday when he was asked about it. And, especially just talking about how that, Clyde knows their protections and all their language and just, their routines. And that was a little bit different answer than what was provided to the CBS when, Tracy Wolfson reported that the Chiefs were going with Clyde because he had some success in the past against the Bills. And that recent success was 5 years ago, maybe. So I wasn't super sold on that. And Andy Reid did say that Elijah Mitchell, that he can do those things too, but they were just more comfortable with Clyde. I mean, if you're in week 9, now week 11, if you're not comfortable with a guy and being able to put him in there, I don't know why the player's on that 53-player roster. So if Pacheco is out this week, Luttrell, if Elijah Mitchell is not in there, I have serious questions about that. I just do not get it. This is the guy with y'all training camp, and I get it. I know Clyde's been in the system for a while and everything, but Clyde hasn't been with the team this year. Doesn't know the new stuff. That's what Elijah Mitchell should know. And I feel like you've seen Clyde. You know what you're getting there. There's nothing new. So you need to figure out what you've got in Elijah Mitchell. And if not, then I still don't understand why he's taken up a 53-player roster spot. You got to figure out something. And there's I don't feel like there's a built-in reason this week about why it would be Clyde. This needs, if you don't have Isaiah Pacheco this week, and it certainly sounded like it was going to be iffy from the way Andy Reid talked about it. And I'm going to bring in Tyler's question too, because Tyler was asking, should Andy Reid be embarrassed of his explanation for bringing up Clyde instead of Mitchell against Buffalo? I mean, like I said, I thought it was a very curious explanation. It was at least different than the one that they gave for the Bills game. They gave to CBS. And I'm with you. I don't think it was super logical. He did put the caveat in there that Elijah Mitchell can do these things too. But if that's the case, I still don't understand why you're not going with the guy who's on your 53 at that point. I was confused by it. I don't get it. And I think if they don't have Isaiah Pacheco for Denver and they go to Clyde again, bring him up this week, I think the questions about Elijah Mitchell are going to just get even louder. So I know Andy Reid doesn't care. He's going to do what he thinks he needs to do, but it would be very, very peculiar to me if you don't see Elijah Mitchell in this situation, because I think you need to find out what you got from him. Scott, if Spags was to become the next head coach of the Giants, which I do think there's a legit chance, would Joe Cullen be the new DC? I think he would certainly be on the list, and it would be a pretty good list about who would be the next defensive coordinator. And I also would be somewhat concerned, if you're the Chiefs, that if Spags leaves, then you've got 3 guys who have legitimate claims to say, hey, wait, that should be my job. There might even be more than 3 guys who think that. But Joe Cullen, getting distracted by my messages. Apologies, everyone. Joe Cullen, Brendan Daly, and Dave Merritt all have legitimate claims to being the guy who follows Spags. So The concern, I think, from just having a really good coaching staff, because those are three really good assistant coaches and three really good guys and coaches to have around. If you hire one of them, will the other two leave? Not entirely necessarily. I mean, Dave Merritt has always kind of made it an indication that he would like to stay close to his family, and with his son playing in Nebraska, I think that would be a priority for him. So I think that would be a better chance that Dave Merritt would stay if he were not named defensive coordinator. But I could understand with Joe Cullen and Brendan Daly that they've paid their dues. They're both ready. Cullen's been a DC before. This would be the first opportunity for Brendan Daly. But he's put in the time. He paid his dues. He's done everything but move up one spot. So if I'm one of those guys and I don't get the job, do you want to go somewhere else? I mean, Colin's got enough on his resume that I feel like he wouldn't necessarily have to. And Brendan Daly, I mean, almost more Super Bowl rings than anybody else. I mean, the guy's getting ready to catch up with Belichick for having the most Super Bowl rings. I think he would absolutely be in hot demand if he didn't get the head job. I would probably list it right now. I think the favorites would probably be Daly, Merritt, and Cullen in that order. I don't know that Cullen would necessarily be the first choice, Scott, but I think it would be one of those three. I mean, because if it's not one of those three, then I think you'd be almost talking about reforming the entire staff. I don't think you want to do that. So I think that's what it will be. Tyler, does the media have locker room access during the week? Will you guys be able to talk to Josh this week, or will we have to potentially wait until Sunday to hear from him? We'll see him. We'll see if even Sunday, Tyler. I mean, it's the way things are supposed to work and how things work in real life aren't always ideal. Yes, players in theory are required to speak once during the week if requested, and after the games, technically again if requested. I guess that always been the caveat. A guy doesn't have to be available if no one's got any questions for them. But those are the two times that players are technically required to be available. And if you're a longtime listener here, viewer here, you know that we've got our complaints about that the Chiefs are not the best in the league at following and adhering to that policy and enforcing that policy with their players. So Josh had been available in the locker room all season during the week. We'll see if he's makes himself available this week. Players, the Chiefs do and have given players who request, to not speak to the media, have given them that option. So the Chiefs also, like I said, if they speak once during the week, the Chiefs then do have the prerogative to keep them from speaking another time during the week. So could they put Josh Simmons on the podium, make that his one spot, and then not be available the rest of the week? That technically is within the Chiefs' prerogative. So I have seen the schedule at this point. Josh is not on their media schedule. We've not been told to expect him. We've asked and been told that they'll get it to us later. It would not be completely. I mean, they put Rashee Rice on the podium when he came back on the Friday. That would typically be the process that the team would go through, would be if they do make Josh available, it would be on the podium on Friday. But we'll see. I mean, unfortunately, like we've talked about, the club does not always adhere to the NFL media policies in this regard. It's been an issue, an ongoing issue, and it's probably all I should say about that. But just know it has been and will continue to be an issue. And I'll be honest. I mean, I'm not going to be super aggressive as far as pushing it with Josh Simmons in this case, especially if he doesn't play this week. If he doesn't play this week, I don't think he necessarily needs to be prodded into speaking to the media. I do think that, when he's in the lineup, he should be made available. And if he plays on Sunday and doesn't speak during the week, he absolutely should be available. Now it's going to be in Denver. I'm not traveling for this game, so That might be a choice of the Chiefs, as if they decide not to make him available until after the game, when there's a smaller media contingent on the road for these players. They have a few options, I'm going to say, even though some of them should not be options. But I can't say there's going to guarantee, Tyler, that when we're going to hear from Josh Simmons. And I certainly would like to, as a reporter and an observer of the team, hey, I'd like to hear from him sooner than later. But this team marches to the beat of their own drum. Alex, could Juan Thornhill return? Hey, I think the Chiefs have shown that they are always up for a good reunion. And Nate Taylor and I joked a couple of times that, hey, are you a good hang? That's all you need. If you're a good player, good guy to have around, somebody who's not going to be a jerk, if you're a good hang and you want to come back, the door is always open. And Juan Thornhill was a good hang. So absolutely, I think the door is open. The two things that, honestly, I mean, and I think this is real, like, last year when Steven Nelson came back, I think that was still a factor of Steven Nelson coming back on the practice squad, was the Chiefs wanted to get him a Super Bowl ring. And, he was not on any of the squads that won one. He left his last season before hitting free agency was 2018. So he wasn't there for Super Bowl 54. I think they really wanted to get Steven Nelson a ring. And that was a big part of him being on the practice squad last season. Thornhill's got a ring, so wouldn't necessarily be something like they feel like that they have to get him that. So I could see, hey, Juan Thornhill's available because he doesn't have as much football in him as he once did, and the Chiefs are deep at that spot. So I don't know. I mean, they could. You always could use depth somewhere, and they do have an open practice squad spot still, since the signing of Broderick Martin got signed away. But I don't think it's a desperate need. But I will never bet against a reunion, so it's always distinctly possible. Sharon, Nagy more likely head coach at Giants to develop Dart. Who worse to lose from KC, Nagy or Spags? First one, a good question. I mean, I honestly think that, the first guy who's going to get a crack at it, it's going to be Mike Kafka. If he does well, if Jackson Dart plays well under him, and the Giants see that there's a good relationship there, hey, Kafka's going to get the first chance to win that job. And, we know that the track record of interim coaches becoming head coaches is kind of sketchy. There's not a lot of guys who have been interim coaches that get the head coaching job that go on to great success. But if Mike Kafka creates a good environment and Jackson Dart plays well under him, I mean, obviously, it looks like he's developed well under Kafka so far. I think he would be the more likely choice than Nagy. I mean, I think Matt would probably be a better choice for some other teams, and but doesn't mean that he couldn't end up being in that mix. I think Ian Rappaport put up out a list today that I think had Spags on it, but I don't think Nagy was on it. I mean, I feel like that the Chiefs, I mean, they've been successful no matter who Andy Reid's got at that coordinator spot. So they could go different directions. They had some, I mean, he probably got some guys that they wouldn't be opposed to, going to right now. I mean, even though they have a fairly young staff outside of some guys who've been around for a while, I don't think that Andy Heck is necessarily looking for the promotion. Tom Melvin's not looking for the promotion. Maybe the other guys are too far away, although I think they have some coaches that are somebody, like, hey, Joe Blameyer is, technically a coordinator. It's like a pass game coordinator in those positions. So they've got some guys that could move up in either one of those spots. I think just Steve Spagnolo is one of the greatest assistant coaches and one of the greatest coordinators of all time. I mean, he's going to be the first coordinator to force the Pro Football Hall of Fame committee to seriously give assistant coaches and coordinators a consideration. I mean, he's got the track record. So I'll always say that's going to be Spags. That's no knock against Matt Nagy. It's just Spags is that important and that good. So what he's been able to do with this defense over the last 7 years, so 7 seasons. So I would say, to me, that's the guy who's most important. This offense, again, it runs through Andy Reid. So whoever Andy's got is going to be the guy that you want. He's always going to have somebody. Hey, Andy Reid may have somebody in mind. Maybe it's somebody outside this organization that he would like to have in that coordinator spot. Daniel, does the Chiefs trade for a player, or do they like to roll with what they have on the team, like hoping Gelati gets more snaps? I mean, obviously, trade deadline's over, so you're not going down that route. Free agency would be your only way to go. But yeah, I mean, for all the rookies who are healthy, I think you're going to see look at all of them for potentially getting more work after the bye week and the second half of the season. That's usually how this team likes to roll. I mean, they like to be able to pace their rookies, not have to force them into action too quickly. I mean, last couple of years with Rashee Rice and then Xavier Worthy, they did have to put those guys into duty faster and more quickly than they wanted to, because it's a long season. And, I was even talking to rookies before the bye week who were already talking about it's a long season, that it's a longer season than they play in college. So that's just the way that the Chiefs like to pace it out, because they know that it's a big jump from the college season to the NFL season. Obviously college seasons are getting longer, but even the longest one is still shorter than what the Chiefs have typically played the last few years. So that's typically their mindset, is sprinkle in rookies in the first half of the season and then ask more of them in the second half as a way to also kind of give your veterans a bit of a break. So yeah, I don't think there's any doubt the Chiefs would like to make sure and see that Ashton Gelati gets more snaps. That was their plan for Omar Norman-Lott, which obviously is not going to be available to them now. We'll see if that fits in for I'm getting my brain fog. This is, you all know, I mean, I've admitted this before. I am sometimes absolutely terrible with names, even like my own best friends' names. So, yeah, the fact that I'm absolutely blanking on Jeff Bossa, I did not have to look it up though. It finally came to me, finally there. Bossa might be a little bit of an exception, but honestly, I think you're going to see more of him in the second half than you've seen in the first half of the season. Jalen Royals, I mean, bound to see more snaps, but I don't know if there's necessarily a role for him unless there's some injuries. I mean, the Chiefs are really deep at receiver. I think they might pace themselves a little bit there. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to just get some specific things designed for Jalen Royals in places, but he may be inactive from week to week too. So there's no guarantees there as well. But all the rookies are going to try to get more snaps, and Gelati is definitely one of those guys. That on the edge, that's the one that is probably the best and biggest X factor that you've got. Everybody else on the edge, you pretty much know what you have, unless the Chiefs, get a free agent availability or a waiver claim in the second half of the season. Gelati's probably the guy that you're looking at as being the one that can maybe make the biggest leap and maybe and push onto the roster. Man, Pete, I feel so sorry. I saw your super chat come up, and then I was going to go to it next, got distracted. I'm like a freaking squirrel tonight. Should have gone to that immediately. I appreciate the super chat. Normally, when I'm paying attention, and I did really good last week, super chats get to the top of the line. So I apologize, Pete, about that. But you're asking, does Elijah Mitchell ever see the field as a Chief? He better. I mean, the Chiefs have taken their chance on this guy. I mean, they made the investment, and no, it wasn't huge. It was a minor reaction, but it's still they need to see what they got. I mean, they've invested the time in training camp. They've invested the roster spot during the season. It cost him. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, it cost him some loyalty points. I mean, if you're keeping Elijah Mitchell instead of a guy like Mike Pennell, I mean, that kind of created some drama to start the season. So, that using that their 53rd spot created some situations. So you got to figure out. I'm betting that yes, that you do see some Elijah Mitchell here in the second half of the season. He better get on the field as a Chief, because if not, then I don't know what he was doing on the 53. So We will see. But I promise anybody else with a super chat, I'm finally attuned now, so I will get there before I blow it like I did there. Alex, is there a sense of urgency in the locker room focus? I mean, and haven't been in there this week, so I'll be interested to see if, there's a change. I mean, I'll be honest, and it's a difficult thing to judge. Focus, yes. I thought that the last few weeks that this locker room, even this season, I think that this locker room has been focused. I don't think its attention has been off the task at hand and what they're trying to accomplish. Now, the sense of urgency, again, that can vary, and it's difficult because, again, even if the Chiefs are not Super Bowl champs, they are still defending AFC champs. They still have Patrick Mahomes. They are still the team that everybody wants to beat. They've got a bullet on them every single week, and last week was a great example. I mean, Buffalo, this is still the team that the Bills want to beat. They showed up. They brought the energy. They brought the effort. They brought that urgency against the Chiefs last week. And we've talked about it before. It's hard to be 100% every single week in the NFL when everybody's got the target on your back. And some weeks, you're probably going to be tapping the brakes a little bit to catch your breath. Well, you do that against the Las Vegas Raiders. Those are the games that you do it in. You can't do it against the Buffalo Bills. You can't do it against the Denver Broncos. So I'm hoping that we see a different sense of urgency this week. I know Andy Reid kind of dismissed the question yesterday when asked if the team had the proper urgency and focus right now. I see those two things being a little bit different. This team, like I said, I think their focus has been where it's been needed. But hey, there's no doubt that the urgency at 5-4 is different than it is at 5-3, and different than it would have been at 6-3. So now the Chiefs, their goals remain the same. They want to win the AFC West, and they want to have the number 1 seed. You can't do those two things without probably going 7-1. So if they don't have that attitude of that, they have to go 7-1 minimum the rest of the way. I mean, this is when you turn it on. I mean, it's a long stretch, 8 games plus 3 or 4 postseason games is this team's goal. But this is it. This is what you play for. It's 11 or 12 games the rest of the way, and this is if you took a break. I mean, if you didn't have that sense of urgency in the first half of the season, you only get that pass because you've signed up to turn it up once you get to this point in the season. Now, normally, if you're the Chiefs, you're hoping that you're already in December. You got the bye week now. It is where it is. But this is where now you've got to start bringing it every week. You can't worry about the fact that everybody's got a target on your back every single year. You got to be ready to go. So let's see if we see it, Alex. And I think it's huge. This is a big week for this team. Kevin, why isn't the 49ers running back not playing? I mean, I wish I could add any more to what we've already been talking about with Elijah Mitchell, but I don't know. I mean, I did think that in training camp that he still showed a little bit of the rust from last year's injury and the surgery and the hamstring issue last year. Apparently that was a pretty severe hamstring injury. But at this point, if you're halfway through the season and he doesn't have the juice, I don't know. I would have some serious questions. So, but again, bye week's the magic time. If it's at this point, he's not ready. If you're the Chiefs and you feel like that Clyde's a better option for you in Denver than Elijah Mitchell, then I'm going to have some serious questions about what Elijah Mitchell's doing on Monday. That's a significant issue. Chris, do you expect Simmons to speak with the press this week? Talked about this earlier too. We'll see. I mean, I'm not expecting it. In a way, I am going into it with expectations that he should, because it's NFL policy. It's what's expected of players and should be expected of players. But Chiefs, I mean, I bless the Cincinnati Bengals. I make my plenty of jokes and comments about the Cincinnati Bengals. They made Joe Burrow available this week. Chiefs would not do that because they make injured players, anyone on IR, off limits. It's not a real rule. It's a Chiefs made up rule. I don't agree with it. I fight it all the time. And like I said, it's probably all I should say on this before I get myself in even more trouble. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's largely going to be up to Josh and the Chiefs. If Josh wants to talk and the Chiefs are willing to let him talk, I bet we hear from him. If either one of those parties don't, we're not going to hear from him. And there's always ways around the rules, as we all know, Chris. Daniel, should the Chiefs try and sign Christian Wilkins to bolster the defensive line? Also think Brashard Smith should be getting more carries than Pacheco and Hunt. Need to see what you have. I mean, I'm already on team Brashard Smith. That's the guy that I want to see, find out what's going on, and see where he's at. I want to see more of him. I think he's the only guy in that backfield that's got the explosive quality that you need. So you don't need to talk me into that, Daniel. I'm still, I mean, once again, I mean, maybe the Chiefs are waiting for that bye week and they're waiting for the second half of the season to start, but this would be the time that I want to see more Brashard Smith. As for Christian Wilkins, once again, we don't really know where and what the status of that foot injury is. We haven't gotten the announcement from his agent that he's available and ready to roll. So, I'm sure that teams are checking in. I am sure that the Chiefs have checked in to see what the status of that foot injury is. Mid-season, week 7 was typically thrown out there quite a bit as maybe when Christian Wilkins would be healthy enough to maybe sign. Those aren't exact. I mean, we are certainly still at kind of the mid-season point. So that's one of the holdups, Daniel. I mean, I am sure that teams are also going to have some holdups because there's just questions about the money, and because there is a dispute over how much of all of his guaranteed money he is going to get from the Raiders, or the Raiders are going to be able to try and reclaim any of that. If there's any offsets in there, that's going to make it difficult. I mean, because the Chiefs can't pay a ton. So if they could sign him to a minimum salary deal, a bunch of incentives, but again, Christian Wilkins may only agree to a deal like that if he still has that guaranteed money coming from the Raiders, and that's not settled and probably won't be settled anytime soon. So, I mean, if that's a concern for Christian Wilkins, he's like, hey, wait a minute, I can't be guaranteeing that I'm going to get that Raiders money. And he wants $9 million for the rest of the year or something crazy like that. Chiefs don't have it. So that in addition to the health could be a holdup. But at this point, I think you would have to say it's health issue because no team signed him and there hasn't been any talk. And like I said, we haven't entered to my knowledge, we haven't entered the video phase of Christian Wilkins out running, going through drills and running 40s and all of this. So until you start getting the workout videos and the ad campaign saying he's ready to go, let's assume he's probably not ready to go. Joe, Chiefs have many players on last year of contract: Cook, Chanel, Omenihu, Pacheco, Jalen Watson, Tillery. Will Chiefs re-sign any? I think there definitely would be some interest. Cook, Chanel, Omenihu. Well, okay, Cook and Chanel, yes, definitely. I don't think there's any doubt the Chiefs would like to re-sign them. It's going to be an affordability issue. That if they can get something long-term done with those guys, it's not too costly. I think they would love to. It may, with both those guys, be, hey, go out and see what you can get and come back to us, but don't sign anything until you come back. I could definitely see that being their philosophy. That's Chiefs' philosophy on some of their guys, is that they are like, hey, we're not gonna. Was like, we can't blow you away with an offer, but we don't want to hold you back from going and seeing what's out there and see if you can get something for yourself. But hey, if we can match what you're getting from somewhere else, we'll try and do it. I mean, that is a Chief strategy. So, Minihue, I could see maybe for the right price, but obviously you're getting to a point in Minihue's career where you're getting diminishing returns. You would probably prefer a player with more upside, more affordable. I mean, if Minihue wants to come back, unless of what he's making right now, possibly. But I think that's I think the Chiefs would probably prefer to get younger, faster at that spot. Um, Pacheco, I think it's a tough one. I mean, I don't know that you've seen enough to invest in long term, but again, it's what the market will pay. I don't know that there is a long term deal out there for Isaiah Pacheco. This might be the best place for him if the Chiefs are interested, and there's not a huge demand. I don't know that Pacheco is necessarily a player that I don't get the sense that that's a guy that they're targeting to sign and tie up long term. Jalen Watson, I think, would be the most difficult of the group. He's having a good season, give him credit. He's been much more consistent than he has in the past and has been stepping up. And um, that's a position because corners can get paid, even if they're not elite shutdown corners. And Jalen Watson's a nice corner. He's not Trent McDuffie, though. He's not going to get Trent McDuffie money. But you know what? I mean, and I don't want to compare him to Travaris Ward, because I think that Travaris, at this point in their careers, I think Travaris was a better corner, but Jalen Watson could get paid. I mean, if some team wants to come and get $10 to $12 million to Jalen Watson, he might very well get Christian Fulton money, maybe a little bit better than Christian Fulton money, because even though Jalen has been banged, has had some injuries, he's played through them all. That's something that Christian Fulton hasn't. I think those two are very comparable players. And if anything, I mean, I would look at the history of them, and I, as a GM, I would pay Jalen Watson more than I would pay Christian Fulton. But the Chiefs kind of already signed one, so I don't know if you can keep both those guys. And obviously, they probably are going to be keeping Christian Fulton next year, or at least taking the cap hit on him. So I don't know. That one's going to be tough. I think the Chiefs might be in a spot where they have to keep Jalen Watson, maybe at all cost. We'll see. I mean, especially if they go into trade Trent McDuffie mode in the offseason. I know nobody wants to talk about that. But I do think he's going to be more difficult than the others to sign. But, Cook and Chenal, I think the Chiefs would love to be able to keep. Jalen Watson, I think they'd like to be able to keep at the right price. Jerry Tiller, I don't have any real problems with if the Chiefs, wanted to bring him back on a minimum salary deal. I don't know if, that the return that they've gotten so far this year knocks their socks off. He could be a guy that, again, they also let chest out and see what he can get elsewhere. And if not, maybe they bring him back and match a deal, or they just wait late in the process. They've done that before with defensive linemen like Derek Nottie, like Mike Pennell. So, but again, I think they want to get younger and faster on the defensive line across the board. So if it's not draft picks, then I think that they're looking at, guys who would be coming off their rookie deals that are available, even if they're not big names. They're at least players who are younger and have a little bit more juice. Doctor Who, with football and a Star Wars question. Drake Maye, a clone of Tom Brady. And by the way, Attack of the Clones is your favorite Star Wars film. I got no problems with that. I mean, hey, anybody wants to tell me that their favorite Star Wars movie is anything, they can say that. As long as it's not Last Jedi, then we've got a problem. It's just a terrible, terrible movie. I have so many issues with it. And what really, as I always tell people, what really bothers me is that, I mean, that's like Rian Johnson's worst movie. Everything else that he's done that I've seen, I really, really like. I just do not like the choices he made with Last Jedi. And I mean, bold Doctor Who, because I mean, Attack of the Clones is not typically at the top of anybody's list. So I know it's usually down there at the bottom, but with Phantom Menace, and people are pretty divisive on Solo, and gosh, the last one. I've seen the last one so a few times that I can't remember the title of it now. The Rise of Skywalker. There you go. I knew that. It was just vacillating in my head. But Drake Maye, a clone of Tom Brady. I can't go there yet because Tom Brady's a GOAT. So there's a long way that Drake May's got to go. But I I think what you're going for is the career track, which, you know, it looks like that Drake may be on that. That, you know, a guy, because Tom Brady was not like all world. He was a game manager at the beginning of his career. He was just the guy that made sure that, you know, didn't blow the game for the Patriots and their defense won everything. And then became a monster quarterback. Maybe Drake May's going to do that. I don't know. I need more. I will say this, and this is the thing. I mean, I said I was going to be scary about it. Mike Vrabel is a very good coach, and once again, you go back and you look at what that dude did in Tennessee with the quarterbacks that he had. I mean, he was taking Marcus Mariota's and Ryan Tannehill's to the playoffs every single year. He's winning 10 games with these guys. Plus, I mean, Mike Vrabel's a great coach, and he doesn't need a stud quarterback. Maybe Drake May is a stud quarterback. He just needs a good quarterback that's not going to kill him and it can help him win a game every once in a while. So Drake May doesn't turn over the ball. I mean, if he doesn't do that, doesn't make mistakes, Mike Vrabel's going to build a team around him that can win. So that's what would scare me. I mean, even if Drake May isn't the next Tom Brady, he looks good enough that Mike Vrabel can win a bunch of games with him. Because I right now, I mean, Drake May looks better than any quarterback that Mike Vrabel ever had in Tennessee. I mean, call me out if I'm wrong, but I'm going with that. My final answer. Dog Petter, do you think the Chiefs lose Spags this year to a head coaching job? I mean, if he's offered one, they're going to, yeah, because he absolutely wants to be a head coach again. So if somebody offers him, yeah, and New York would be a good fit. And Jesus, I just saw this. I'm looking at the star thing to see when the super chats come up. I'm going to blame StreamYard for this one, but it always seems like it's you, Jesus. I don't know what it is. I feel bad. I should have come to you 14 minutes earlier, Jesus. I apologize for that. Did you know Spags was a Boston Bruins fan? That would make sense. I mean, he's a Massachusetts guy, so you know, because I don't know if he really considers himself a Boston guy. I mean, I know he's kind of outside Boston kind of guy, but that would make total sense. I mean, we've never really talked about it. I assume that he grew up a Patriots fan too. But that would make sense. And Spags totally seems, I mean, absolutely seems like a hockey guy. At least it would be a hockey fan. I can absolutely see that. So that would make total sense, Jesus. Not going to be any opening in New England, and he's not like going to be taking a defensive coordinator job there. But I mean, Spags is a Northeast guy. So if he got offered an opportunity to go back to the Northeast, to go to New York, to be a head coach, I mean, I don't see how he turns that down. I think that would be just an absolute ideal place for him to go. I think, you know, he would be comfortable there. He knows the organization, knows the ownership, knows everybody. Be a really comfortable place, a good opportunity for him to go back. If I'm Spags though, and I end up there, I would need two things. I would need one, be able to bring in the offensive coordinator of my choice, and two, I mean, don't stick me with Jackson Dart. I'm not saying that, yeah, the Jackson Dart's not the guy. He might very well be the guy, but I felt like that's what happened to Matt Nagy in Chicago, that the Bears wanted to hire somebody who said that they could win with Mitch Trubisky. And Matt Nagy was brave enough to say that he could, and actually did. I mean, that's the ridiculous thing, is that dude won 10 games with Mitch F. Trubisky as his quarterback. So I feel like in a lot of ways that Matt Nagy got the short end of the stick in Chicago. I mean, they won defensively. They were not an offensive juggernaut, but that guy went to the playoffs with Mitch Trubisky. I feel kind of the same way there. I mean, if I'm Spags, I can't be, you know, don't shoulder my success to the Jackson Darts. Don't tie them together. So, I mean, maybe that's a reason that he would like to go to New York, because it's a young quarterback who looks like he could be something. Maybe it's a reason not to, because a young quarterback that you don't know what you've got and he's not your guy. Maybe he does. Maybe he'll love Jackson Dart and decide that's going to be his guy. I mean, that's kind of what, was like Matt Nagy, saw Mitch Trubisky, was like, hey, I can win with this guy. You can't think. You got to believe in it. That's got to be your guy. So if it's not, like I said, those are the two caveats I would have if I'm Steve Spagnolo. I was like, I need offensive coordinator of my choice, no interference, no feedback, no notes. And if I decide in the first 2 seasons that Jackson Dart's not my guy, then I get my guy before you're gonna, move me and move on and fire me and everything. I don't know if maybe they won't get that, but that's what I would demand if I was Spags. Let's see. Where's our next question coming from? Again, Jesus, thank you so much for the super chat. Always appreciate it. And it's amazing how many times that I just, for whatever reason, your little notification doesn't pop up there and I don't see it until too late. You get hosed a lot, my friend. I'm sorry about that. Nobody's been more supportive with the super chats and active than you have been. So that's why I feel even worse about it. Doctor Who, are the Chiefs players intimidated by the Bills crowds? I've always liked the Bills fans, but they're starting to get a slightly 80s Raiders type rep. I mean, honestly, probably not a whole lot worse than Chiefs fans. They might. I mean, no, Chiefs fans don't have a reputation for, breaking tables or setting things on fire, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, for that, the Bills are a little bit more Raiders type, but I honestly don't think that there's a whole lot of difference between the Chiefs fans and Bills fans. I mean, maybe the Bills remind me a lot of, the Chiefs under Marty, during the late 80s and early 90s. And, really, those were to me always going to be the heydays of Arrowhead Stadium. I mean, I know that they set the Guinness record later with the crowd noise, but I still don't think that place was ever louder than it was in the late 80s and early 90s. And I don't think that Orchard Park and the Bills, when they were going to 4 straight Super Bowls, I don't think it was as big of an atmosphere as Arrowhead is and has been. And I don't think it was as good of an atmosphere as Arrowhead was at that time. Now, hey, this is a Bills fan base that raises it up. I mean, they dial it up a notch. So I don't think the Chiefs are intimidated by it. I think they actually like it. But hey, is it a hard place to play because the crowd's loud and you don't play in a lot of places that are as loud as that? I mean, the Chiefs don't have to play at Arrowhead when Arrowhead's rocking for the defense. I mean, Chiefs, you can hear Patrick Mahomes making calls on the field at Arrowhead because the fans know to keep quiet. There's no doubt. I mean, they don't get that benefit in Buffalo. I mean, it's a loud enough environment that once again, it's probably the loudest place that the Chiefs do play in. So that's a legitimate point. I don't think they're intimidated though. I mean, I've never gotten that sense. I mean, I think that they like the environment, that it's a fun place to play. But again, I think that it comes down to it. The Bills care more about that game every year than the Chiefs do. And for the Chiefs, I keep saying it. I mean, the most important game of the year for the Chiefs are the 3 or 4 playoff games that they're going to play. Their most important regular season game is only going to be their 4th or 5th most important game that they play. For almost every team in the NFL, and the Bills are still in this position. For the Bills, their biggest game of the year is Kansas City, and it's the first one that they see. Doesn't matter. I mean, I feel like that and maybe, hey, I could be wrong. I feel like that the year that Buffalo gets past Kansas City, if they ever do, it's going to be a year where they don't play Kansas City in the regular season. That's just one shot, one playoff game. That's it. You don't have to go through Kansas City twice. That's what Buffalo needs, because beating the same team twice in one season is hard to do. And Buffalo goes all out to win that regular season game because it means more to them every single year than it does to the Chiefs. And as long as that happens, I think that's why the Bills are going to win the regular season and Chiefs will win in the playoffs. And maybe until we see otherwise, that is going to be my belief on that. Brother Rick, see, I got the start here. We're going straight there on the super chat. Appreciate that, Brother Rick. How about EB? What EB is doing with the running backs in Chicago? I mean, I think that Eric Bieniemy is absolutely the one of, if not the best running backs coach in the NFL. I mean, there's just no doubt about that. The dude, I mean, from a X and O standpoint to the mental standpoint to just the teaching the game standpoint, all of those factors, there's nobody better than Eric Bieniemy. So, I mean, that's a great hire. I mean, I understand it that, you can have some questions about whether or not a guy can handle a coordinator role, a head coach role, or anything of that nature. But Eric Bieniemy, I mean, I think the track record is proven that he is one heck of a running backs coach. And yeah, I mean, they got a bunch of guys who are putting up yards, going there. I was just looking at their totals and everything like that and seeing where they are right now. I mean, that's a really good rushing offense. I mean, they're number 2 in yards, number 5 in touchdowns. And hey, Switz is a good rusher, but they're getting production from a lot of guys. So that to me is, like I said, Eric Bieniemy is to me the best running backs coach in the league. I don't think he's a bad offensive coordinator either. Once again, you're only going to be as good at that job sometimes as your talent. But as far as getting the most out of running backs, I mean, there's no doubt the Chiefs have missed Eric Bieniemy from that standpoint. And I mean, they have not had as good of a running game since they have been without Eric Bieniemy. I don't think that there's any argument for me there either. So, no, I think EB, when it comes to the run game, is just one of the best. He knows how to teach it. He knows how to inspire his guys to get the most out of them. And like I said, I mean, the X's and O's of it, he's one of the best. And he teaches guys the right moves. I mean, and that's all I can say, brother Rick. I mean, he is one of the best. He is, I mean, right now is absolutely the best at that position. I hope he gets recognized for it. There's the award that the Pro Football Writers every year put out for assistant coaches, and I'm hoping EB gets that award one day. Spags won that award, Emmett Thomas won that award. Some other Chiefs coaches in the past have won that honor. I'm hoping that EB will get that one day, because for what he's done with running backs, he absolutely deserves it. Nobody's better than that dude. Again, Kevin, Chiefs beat the Raiders 31-0. Broncos won 10-7. Chiefs should beat the Broncos by 27. If only it worked that way. But there's a few different ways you could look at that with the Broncos and the teams that they've played, that they have shared common opponents with the Chiefs. And not all of them are on the Broncos' favor. I mean, that's one of the reasons why. I mean, I think the Chiefs are going to win this game, but it's going to be hard. They got to show up the right attitude, but don't know if it's that easy though. Oh, let's see. Oh, Daniel, next one. Nope. There we go. I may have missed this earlier. Maybe it was a repeat. Maybe was it somebody else who said the exact same thing, Daniel? Because if not, I mean, I'm signing off on both of them. I definitely need to see more Brashard Smith. I mean, especially if Pacheco was going to be out, you need to see more of Brashard Smith, and this is when you need to see him. So yes, I am signing up there for sure. I think the only thing that would hold me back by Ashton Gelati, and I would like to see how he's feeling this week. He had that elbow injury that was kind of slowing him down. The Chiefs gave him some reps off, some time off, and at least less playing time there for a while because of the elbow injury. I think it's been kind of hit and miss. So hopefully the bye week helps him get to 100%, because those elbow injuries for especially edge rushers, I mean, the way that you've got to use your arms to really be able to get off and to deal and do your hand work with tackles, that's a hard injury to play with. So hopefully if he's feeling better and that elbow is getting behind him, that can really help him out in the second half of the season. Desi Xmas. Gosh, I hope I got that right. I don't know what you're going for there, but I hope I got that right for you, Desi. What do you think is more important this game coming up against Denver? Running the ball to help against the pass rush, or D-line showing up and rattling Knicks? I mean, to me, there is no doubt the number one thing to me is getting after Bo Nix. How do you beat the Broncos? You force them to make mistakes. You force Bo Nix to make mistakes. You do not let him get into a rhythm. He can do both in the same game. I mean, he can turn over the football, and then if you let him get some time to throw and get some confidence, he can put up 33 points on you in a quarter. So, that's where it's all about. I mean, the Chiefs, it's the Chiefs. It's Andy Reid. I mean, they could win a game running the ball for 15 yards. Not easy to do, but they can do it. So, yeah, I mean, running to slow down the Denver pass rush would be great. It's not been the Chiefs' strength this year. But one thing, I mean, and I don't think you have to do that in order to beat the Broncos defense. The Broncos defense is good. Don't get me wrong. There's other ways than running the ball. And hey, I mean, if the Chiefs put up 150 yards rushing, they'll beat the Broncos, but they don't have to. I mean, this team has shown that they don't have to. And there are other ways to slow down the D line. That won't show up necessarily in the run game numbers. Obviously, hey, some jet sweeps will do that. Some screens will do that. So there's ways in the passing game for you to be able to slow down that pass rush a little bit. But to me, there's no doubt. I mean, the Broncos, they struggle when you force them to make turnovers. And that's also another weakness of the Chiefs, is creating turnovers. But this is a team that you need to get turnovers against. If you do not force Bo Nix to make mistakes, he will get into a groove and he can beat you. So you got to create turnovers. That's one thing that the Broncos do not do well. They do not protect the football well. So if you're the Chiefs and you're Steve Spagnolo, this is the week you got your front four has got to go after Bo Nix. You are probably going to have to blitz Bo Nix, and if you do that, you are probably going to get some turnovers and you are going to win the game. So. Gary, do the Chiefs have to put up 28 or more points Sunday for the Chiefs to win? My initial prediction of the week today was 27-23, Gary. So I guess I'm saying the Chiefs have to score at least 24 to win. Hey, the Broncos just played a 10-7 game. So there's no magic number as far as the fact that you have to put up a bunch of points to beat Denver. Thursday nights, I know I'm not going to, I don't take anything from a Thursday night and extrapolate that for what that's going to mean on Sundays. And that was probably a little bit of a trap game for the Broncos too. So I expect a much better performance out of them. But I can see the Chiefs winning this one in a defensive slugfest, and I can absolutely see the Chiefs winning this in an offensive runaway too. I mean, and I say that with both teams. I mean, if this game ended up in the 30s, it wouldn't surprise me. If this game stayed in the teens, it wouldn't surprise me. And honestly, if these two teams are playing their best football, I mean, I would expect a lower scoring game than you would expect. If this ends up being a high scoring game, I don't know what to expect. I think the Broncos are equipped well enough to win a shootout. So I don't know if that's what you want to get into them with, but I think that the Chiefs are good enough to win a low scoring game because their offense can be efficient. And if you're holding the Broncos under 20, it's probably because you've created some turnovers. So that's why, to me, I don't think that's the magic number, Gary. I could see the Chiefs winning a defensive battle, but it's just kind of how you get there too. Desi Xmas. Gosh, you're gonna have to put in the comments and everything to make sure I'm getting that right, Desi. Should the Chiefs take the ball first, and if they score a touchdown, it could help give the Chiefs defense a bolster at the beginning of the game? I mean, it's a strategy, but it is just not what Andy Reid does anymore. There are a handful of things on which that Andy Reid is a analytics evangelist, and one of them is that opening possession you defer to the second half because teams that get the ball to start the second half win more games than teams that get the ball to start the first half. And so he's always trying to squeeze that one bit of juice out there. But that's the other thing too, is that what Andy Reid loves and because again, he knows the number. If you score on the last possession of the first half and the first possession of the second half, you're more likely to win by orders of magnitude. I need to see what the numbers are. I know that's what the Chiefs have crunched the numbers for, and that's what you're always trying to do when you defer until the second half and then get the ball to start the second half. You're hoping that you can work things out so that you get that final possession or your final score of the first half, and then you can do the exact same thing to begin the second half. So I think the Chiefs are always going to stick with their strategy of deferring. I don't think it's going to change. I can't imagine it ever changing to start a game. So, Gary, did the Chiefs in 2026 try to draft Notre Dame runbacker Love in the draft next year? I know Tim Grunhard's already on board with that. Nick has not gone down that road yet. It's too early for Nick to put a name to it, but Nick is coming along to running back early, maybe a running back first in 26. I mean, the Chiefs, I mean, that is definitely one thing that the Chiefs could absolutely use, would be a dynamic running back. Is it the Notre Dame kid? I don't know. Or is there another kid out there that might fit that? It's I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll get into the whole draft process and see. But and I know there's going to be some of you out there that are going to be absolutely dead set. Do not draft a running back in the first round, no matter what. I get that, and again, it can depend a little bit on who and when. I see Rick in the comments at the end, that hey, the Chiefs had taken Jonathan Taylor instead of CEH in the first round back in 2020. Maybe things are a little bit different, so maybe that would have been the right running back to take in the first round. Your mileage may vary, but yeah, I mean, unless Brashard Smith all of a sudden comes out in the second half of the season and starts looking like that dynamic running back, the Chiefs should continue looking for a dynamic running back, because that's the one thing that could absolutely take this offense to a different level. Their efficiency when they had prime Kareem Hunt, even when they had Damian Williams, I mean, that's all you need is a guy like Damian Williams. Those guys are out there. It's just that right now the Chiefs don't have one of them. But man, if they could just clone Damian Williams, they'd have a really good offense right now. I mean, they have a good offense, but they could even be better. And I mean, they need an upgrade in the run game. And like I said, I mean, Damian Williams in his Chiefs prime would be an upgrade over what the Chiefs have right now. Oh, definitely. I mean, Drake Maye is definitely better than Tannehill. There's a lot of guys better than Tannehill, Luttrell. I'm very hard on the quarterbacks that Mike Vrabel had in Tennessee. He never had a quarterback. I mean, once again, look at what he got out of Tannehill. And I know Tannehill took Tannehill took the no, did I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Tannehill, I guess took the Dolphins to the playoffs. And I can't remember if he was not healthy for that game or was injured or came back and was hurt, I don't remember the circumstances, but he had that one good season in Miami and that was it. So Tannehill was not the real deal. Rick, after I almost deleted your comment, sorry, getting carried away with the mouse there. Will we see Chris Jones sacking the quarterback or sitting on the sidelines sucking oxygen in Denver? Harsh, Rick, harsh. You're probably going to see him definitely sucking oxygen, because everybody sucks oxygen in Denver. That's just what you got to do. I wish I had oxygen when I'm in Denver. I've covered a few games there, and the parking lot is always so far away. And it's so cold. That's my more concern, is just how cold it is after, especially even like a late afternoon game. It's still cold and dark in Denver. Now it's probably going to be better weather. I have not seen the forecast this week. I do remember I covered one game in Denver that I know it was like 4 degrees or something after the game, and it was a prime time game, so it wasn't leaving until like 2 a.m. And I did. That was one of the few times I thought that I might die, just walking to my car 2 a.m. in downtown Denver with 4 degrees. That was one of the few times on the NFL beat where I was seriously concerned for my life. But Jones needs to get a sack. I mean, he's obviously, his numbers have been down this year. I mean, it's everybody's been talking about it. I mean, and you might as well just accept the fact that, I mean, Chris Jones is past peak Chris Jones. You know that's going to happen. Is he still better than anybody else that the Chiefs can get out there? Yeah. Is he better than anybody that they probably could have traded for? Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs weren't giving up 2 first rounds for anybody that, was making that makes a lot of money or needs a lot of money. So, getting Quentin Williams was not on the Chiefs' radar. But Chris Jones is still, I mean, he's your guy. He makes everybody around him better. So even though he's not Chris Jones of old, he's still an important piece of this team. But they need him to be at his best. And I gotta believe there's more of Chris Jones to come in the second half of the season. So let's see what happens. And I could get into once again my diatribe about the fact that I really want to see what this Chiefs team looks after a bye week, because I still think that they've been struggling, not just players, coaches, everybody behind the scenes. I still think that Friday night game in Brazil in week 1 with no bye week. Let's face it, that is not a bye week. 2 days is not a bye week. I'm growing more and more disconcerted about an international game in week 1 and not allowing the team to have a bye week afterwards. I think it just stinks. And the fact they're going to do this again the next year, with adding another international game in week 1 with Australia, and the Chiefs have been rumored as being a team that might be in the mix of that to play the Rams in Australia. That's going to be even worse. I mean, it's that game absolutely. But here's the thing: is they can't do it. They can't give a team what they should do if they're going to force these teams to play in Australia. Honestly, is they need to rewrite the CBA, and those teams play like Sunday the week before, like Major League Baseball teams playing in Japan to open the season. They should not be playing on Wednesday. I know they're talking about maybe moving the Australia game to Wednesday. That's still not enough time, especially for a trip like that. Just brutal. Pete, does Andy's non-use of free agent running backs begin to make it difficult to draw in free agents eventually? No, I don't get that sense at all. I mean, no, and one for sure, because I mean, almost every free agent is going to go where the best money and the best opportunity is. I mean, and usually money is all that it requires. So, I don't think that, and especially, circumstances. I mean, again, hey, there's a legitimacy in the fact that Elijah Mitchell was coming off an injury. But the Chiefs have also had success with, free agent running backs. Jerick McKinnon had success here. Samaje Perine maybe didn't have the success that he wanted, but it seems like he's only happy in Cincinnati. So I don't know what's going on there. Damian Williams, like I said, was success. And I mean, and to a degree, I mean, NFL players, short memories, they're not going to remember that far back. So only as far back as they're going to remember is Jerick McKinnon, maybe. But I don't think that's too much of an issue in other positions. No, I don't, because, for every one of those that you want to talk about, you've got others. I mean, Mike Pennell's going to get a lot of playing time, and Mike Pennell's a free agent. And, I mean, there's other examples. I mean, same with wide receiver and other spots. I mean, but again, look at Jalen Moore. Jalen Moore is, he's a consummate pro. That's one of the things I respect about Jalen's with the role that he's had this year and handling it well. I mean, the dude signed because he wanted to be a starter here and make some money. And he understood that. He understood the Chiefs. Hey, they drafted a guy, didn't know they were going to be able to get. They drafted him to play in front of him. And Jalen has been like, hey, if I get to play, great. I'm making money. That's great too. And he's been a good teammate throughout the whole thing. And then when he gets to play, he goes in there, he plays his butt off, and he's happy. I mean, there's some guys that would not have handled that situation well. We've seen it before. We've seen a lot of free agents that, I mean, Kirk Cousins, it seems like one of the good dudes in the league, and he didn't handle, having somebody come in, behind him and everything like that. And, even though he's making a lot of money, he's not been handling, some quarterbacks don't handle it really well. So, I mean, money trumps all, Pete. I mean, money and opportunity. So, and most NFL players, especially on their second contract, third contracts, they are always going to choose money over everything else. So don't want to be too general there, but that's generally the case. You can always make up things with money. Jesus, yes, 2 minutes. I got you this time, buddy. We got you. Did you hate it when the Broncos used to say that they would win back in the Elway days because of the Mile High Stadium? I will say I'm supposed to be fairly objective. Not fairly. I'm supposed to be objective in this job. I try to be objective in this job, but I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I hated the Broncos under John Elway. I mean, even when they weren't winning, I still hated the Broncos, and they do. I mean, they make a big deal out of Mile High. They love to brag about that, but it is notable, Jesus, that it's not the stadium, it's the quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback who can play, it doesn't matter whether your stadium's at 5,000 feet, 1,000 feet, or 20,000 feet. You got to have the quarterback. But I think I got to think too that it just, I think it just made players feel worse back in the day. The fact that, you're going to go to Denver and they're a good team and you got to play that, and you got to put up with that nonsense and run around chasing Elway. That just felt worse than I think it would feel otherwise. So there was I think there was a psychological advantage. Sure, there's a little bit of a physical advantage too of playing there, but I think obviously that probably swings both ways a little bit. Playing in that time zone, Broncos end up playing some games that I don't know are really the hate. I don't think it's great for them. I think they get caught up in that sometimes. But appreciates, again, super chat and super questions, everybody. And from Jesus, thank you very much. I know exactly where I left off. And yes, Rick's in the Brashard Smith fan club. I know many of us are. That's if you're here and you're not in the Brashard Smith fan club, you should consider that. John, did the Chiefs miss the boat when not trading for Breece Hall? I mean, maybe. Again, I'm not sold on the value of free agent acquisitions at midseason, and I'm not sold of them on Andy Reid and picking up the offense. Now, again, probably easier for a running back than a wide receiver to be able to pick up the offense. But if you're going to take advantage of that, you're also going to want to throw the ball to Breece Hall. I don't know. I feel like so many ways that, by and large, the die is cast at the beginning of the season, that I just think it is, and I'd have to really go back and look at it because I can't tell you where I think was the last really major. I know teams are trading at the trade deadline now more than ever before. I just don't know that it's moving the needle a ton. The Chiefs, who's their best trade acquisition? I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, put a team on the run and helped them get to the Super Bowl in the last 5-10 years. I just feel like it's such a non-event. I just don't think that it's a big mover as far as your chances. So did I miss the boat? Probably not. And hey, guy's going to be a free agent in the offseason. I mean, if you sign him, then, are you really going to miss those 8 weeks? And if those 8 games that you could have had him for were the difference between you and going to the Super Bowl, I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, I still feel like that these trade deadline deals, unless you just absolutely have a incredible issue like the Chiefs did at wide receiver last year. But again, I don't know if DeAndre Hopkins was the piece that got them over the edge, got them to the Super Bowl. Maybe he was, but it wasn't like he put up numbers that you pointed to and said, "Hey, without this guy, Chiefs aren't in the Super Bowl." No, I don't think that was the case. But Durrell, I hope I'm correct, also pronouncing that one correctly. The Chiefs lose Nagy and Spags, the head coaching jobs next year. Do you have a good idea on who will take over for OC and DC? Like I mentioned, I think if Spags left, obviously Joe Cullen, Brendan Daly, and Dave Merritt would be the top choices. I think it gets more interesting on the offensive side. I mean, I would be tempted to say at this point that I might make someone outside the organization the top possibility, the top candidate. If the Chiefs needed a new offensive coordinator next year, I want to make sure I'm getting some people's titles right here. So, because again, I mean, from a position coach standpoint, I don't know that the Chiefs have the obvious name that you'd say, okay, that's the guy that you're going to go to. Because again, I mean, I don't think Andy Heck, Tom Melvin are looking to be offensive coordinators at this point. Joe Blameyer is pass game coordinator. Technically, already has a coordinator title. Now that's different than being offensive coordinator, but Blameyer would probably be, I'm guessing, the top internal candidate. I know he took a lot of heat early, but I think Connor Embry deserves a lot of credit over the last couple of seasons with what he's done from the receivers group of getting that group together and kind of on the same page, especially with all the injuries. I don't think he's gotten really enough credit for that. He might be the the inside sleeper candidate. I think it would be, if there was an internal candidate to be offensive coordinator, I think it would probably be Blameyer would be the guy to beat. I mean, I'm not sure that there would be, but again, you know, it's distinctly possible, like I said, that I might take the outside. I might take a guy from outside. I mean, Dave Girardi, the quarterback's coach, might be in that conversation as well, but I think it would probably be, like I said, Blameyer. But I honestly, if I was handicapping it, I would probably say I think the coach will come from outside. Now, I'm glad I went back to look at the coaches, because I'm forgetting about Matt House on the defensive side. Matt House would absolutely be in that list too. So I should modify that earlier answer to add him as well. That was an oversight on my part, forgetting about him. I was just rolling through the assistant coaches. I mean, he's listed as a senior defensive assistant, and honestly, him coming in felt like it was Spags bringing him in to kind of groom him. I mean, he's had a college, coaching defensive coordinator job. I don't believe he's been one yet at the NFL level. Him coming back this year seemed like, okay, this is this is his chance to kind of come back and do maybe an internship for being an NFL defensive coordinator. That's what he's going to learn this year specifically about that. Doesn't have a position per se. It feels like, and the impression I get is that he's doing a little bit of that shadow coordinator job for Steve Spagnolo, especially kind of some of the stuff that, Ken Flagel, thank you very much. Almost forgot his name. Did a few years ago for Spags. It's kind of being his right-hand man. I think that's a good spot for Matt House to kind of, if he wants to, whether he wants to go back to college or he's committed to the NFL now and wants to be an NFL defensive coordinator. His name probably needs to be in there too. But again, it comes back to, if the Chiefs hire a defensive coordinator from within, if this Spags did leave, I just wonder if they might lose a bunch of guys. So that would be tough. But I think you want to try and keep as many as you can. But hey, I think they have at least 3 or 4 guys who want to be defensive coordinators, and there's only one job in Kansas City. So, no conscience. Do you have a favorite year as a reporter? A year that stood out from the other years, or the best years of beat reporter that year? Really good question. No conscience. I haven't gotten that before. I mean, I'm trying to come up and say that there was with a different answer than 2019. There was really only one thing about 2019 that was a negative in any way. And that was more just business behind the scenes than anything else. So I won't air that dirty laundry, but nothing to do with covering the team or on the beat or anything like that. Just the business side of things that was really the only negative that year. But I would probably say 2019. That was the year that I probably traveled the most too. I haven't traveled a lot since COVID. Some of it, was for a couple of years. my Nancy is immunocompromised, so I was even pretty careful coming out of COVID in 2020, 2021, just making sure we didn't bring anything back to her. But then I, kind of found that a couple of things. One is that the NFL's kind of changed as far as the way things are on the road. Availabilities with the team are less and less. Yeah, you're going to miss some things. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And post-game locker room, you miss that. It stinks. But the players anymore, they are in such a rush to get the players on the bus and get them out of there and get them on a plane and get home. That it's a lost leader. I mean, I don't get any more clicks on my coverage for covering road games than I do from home. So it's just, hey, become easier for me to go ahead and not travel for the road. But I did travel a lot that season. I don't think I covered every road game, but I covered most of them. So that was fun. I mean, that was, I guess, last year for the Coliseum in Los Angeles. So that was really cool. Chiefs lost to Nashville, but Nashville was a fun trip. So I enjoyed that. I mean, 19 probably still stands out. There's moments of other seasons. I mean, 2017 was a lot of fun. 2016 was a lot of fun because that was my first year on the beat. But I think 2019 is always going to stand out to me. 2018 was fun too, because that was the year I got to write the Mahomes book. So that was a challenge and it was a lot of fun. But just a lot of work, but it was fun. But I mean, 2019, you cover your first Super Bowl. That team, I mean, that team was a lot of fun to cover. There was a lot of things that going on. There was a lot of great storylines. The fact that, that team just didn't exactly come out of nowhere, but the fact that they just kind of snuck up on everybody and took down the Super Bowl. I mean, remember, I'm talking about it. They were five? I think they were also 5-4 at this point. I think they were 6-4 after 10 games, but they were 3 games back of the Patriots for the number 1 seed and came back to get the number 1 seed at the end of the season. And you had that final week with Kevin Harlan calling both games with the Patriots Dolphins game, and the Dolphins winning that game to give the Chiefs the 1 seed. There was just a lot of fun that season. So I can't really come up with it. I mean, 2019, I think, is always going to be my favorite, no conscience. And obviously, just like I said, covering your first Super Bowl, that's always going to stand out. And obviously, there were some absolutely crazy games in that season, some crazy Patrick Mahomes moments. So that final answer, I think we're going to go with that. Well, a fun question. So sorry I rambled and took up some time on that answer, folks. But we're not going to hit 3 hours tonight, I don't think. I'm doing a relatively good job of keeping up, so we're trying. Yeah, Rick. Yeah, that's 2020 hindsight. I get it. I mean, I with the way that Jonathan Taylor's playing right now, I mean, yeah, I mean, this would be a very, very difficult offense to stop. And, again, I mean, hey, did I think the Chiefs made a mistake at the time not taking Jonathan Taylor? No, because general consensus was that he's probably a second-round running back. Taking a running back in the first round, not necessarily great. I mean, I will still contend from everything that I've been told that, and no knock against Clyde, because that was the guy that they took, but the Chiefs wanted to trade out of that spot. And I mean, whether it was they trade out and get back into the second round to still get Clyde, or trade back and if somebody takes Clyde, no problem, Jonathan Taylor's there. I mean, I just think that the Chiefs didn't want to be in the first round. And if you remember, there was a lot of people just talking about the fact that the Chiefs didn't have any obvious need. Now, that was probably, in retrospect, a poor assumption. I mean, there's always going to be things that you need. Maybe even then you started looking at tackles, although, I mean, I don't think you ever could have expected that, both your tackles were going to get injuries in the next couple of years and not be there in short order. But, and the Chiefs' rationale and reasoning for why they took Clyde, I was convinced. They sold me as far as, why that they chose Clyde over Jonathan Taylor. Once again, 2020 hindsight, probably should have taken Jonathan Taylor. Even then, I mean, now then you get into the question about would the Chiefs have paid Jonathan Taylor? I mean, he's not on, I guess, well, yeah, he's not on his rookie contract anymore. What is he making? That'd be the other problem, is that then the Chiefs would have to pay him, and they would have had to pay him after, he's had some injury seasons. So I know this is why the live stream goes 3 hours, everyone, and I get caught up in rambling. What is it? 3 years at $42 million? Is that what I saw? The internet's being slow tonight for me. I don't. It's supposed to be fiber, for crying out, people. Yeah, 3 for 42. So, gosh, I mean, he's going to be up in. Was the extension that got him through 26? So he's going to be a free agent again in 27, 28. That's going to be a good time for him. His cap hits 15.3 this year. I mean, are the Chiefs a team that would have a 15.3 cap? I mean, would they have re-signed Jonathan Taylor or let him walk? I mean, that's a legitimate question too. So I don't know the answer to that. I mean, maybe we'll find out this offseason. Maybe the Chiefs are going to go out and sign a running back for 15 million per, 14 million per, and then we'll find out if they want to have that big of a cap hit. Justin, can they oxygen up before the game? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the science is behind the whole thing. I don't know specifically what treatments that players get. I imagine that there are some. That might be something I should ask some guys this week, see if they'll open up. Sometimes, guys, when it comes to the medical side of things, will be a little bit more restrictive. They don't want to get in trouble or say something they're not supposed to. Hey, if Rick Burkholder walks to the locker room, maybe I can ask Rick. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that. I'm sure there's a philosophy in the NFL. Maybe different teams have different thoughts as far as their medical staffs go about how you deal with it going into a game. I feel like there's some things that I've heard before that teams do. I don't know about that. I don't know if you can oxygen up exactly, but whether there are some legal, I mean, I know like you can take, there's obviously medications for altitude sickness. I assume that those are allowed in the NFL, that's not a banned substance. I don't know for sure. But most of the players, I mean, they'll tell you. I mean, even though you see guys who will take the oxygen and get it out of breath on long runs. Some players will say that they feel like it's overblown. Especially as far as the short bursts go. That really it's more of the, if you have to run a long distance, that when it gets a little bit more tricky and everything. But I'm sure there's a science that all the teams have as far as how they treat their players going into that. Mitchell, if Worthy continues his little to no production, can we start to call him a first-round bust? Don't talk about injury because of an injury is hampering his production. Thornton should be playing. I'm nowhere. I will say this: I'm nowhere close to calling Xavier Worthy a bust. And is the injury a part of it? It absolutely could be. I mean, I don't see Xavier Worthy using that as an excuse. But, again, I mean, this Chiefs team, as far as the offense goes right now, I mean, everything spread out. I mean, it's not like except for this short burst of Rashid coming back, and if you didn't expect that, then you should have. I mean, that was my only bold take that really I think has got a pretty well. I guess Karlaftis could still get the double-digit sacks, but that was my bold prediction before the season that Rasheem Rice is going to get a 1,000-yard season and playing in 11 games. I still think that's got a distinct chance of happening, but I mean, his numbers are not terrible. I mean, they've been lower than you would expect. I think we were hoping for more, and it's been kind of up and down inconsistency. But he had one good game. He had that big game against Baltimore. And it's just that the Chiefs have a lot of options for the ball to go around right now. So, I mean, right now, I guess you look at Worthy's numbers and you say he's probably going to end up with 500, 600 yards. He could, if he gets on a hot streak and all of a sudden gets to 700, 800. I mean, I'm not even going to say that's a down year because last year he got close to 1,000 yards when there was a period of time when he was the only option on the team. Now they got a lot of options, and the ball has been getting spread around. I mean, if he was getting no yardage whatsoever, then I would say, hey, that's a problem. And I will say, I'll say this as well. I mean, Thornton, obviously, the Chiefs have just been scheming around him. I mean, I'm sure Worthy is taking a little bit of his snaps. Juju's probably taking some of his snaps. And I still, as much as I like Tyquan Thornton, I still feel like he is fairly one-dimensional as far as just a deep ball receiver. That's usually where he's going to have the most success and the most ability, is just outrunning some guys. And I mean, again, teams are trying to take that away. Teams are going back to what they used to do, which is to just try and take away everything on the back end of the field. And what's it doing? It's opening up the middle. It's opening up everything up for Rashee Rice. It's why Travis Kelce is having a little bit of a renaissance here. It's easier work in the middle of the field right now than it has been for the Chiefs in the last few years, because they do have those deep threats, and teams are paying attention to them now. I mean, they're opening up a little bit more. The Chiefs wanted to use the deep ball early in the season to open up the middle of the field. That plan has been working. So, I mean, they still need Worthy and Tyquan to take some shots downfield to make sure that continues to happen? Yes. But I'm not anywhere close there, Mitchell, on Worthy. I think he's still going to have some fine games. And hey, if this ends up being a down year because of the injury, and next year he comes back and has a 1,000-yard season, I don't think you're going to have any complaints. But if he ends up, like I said, 800 yards, give or take, I would not consider that to be a down season. I would just consider that to be that he's the same receiver he was last year, but he's just got a lot more help and they've got a lot more options. So, Rick, Chiefs have an offensive line that is built to run the football. Doesn't mean Andy would run it, but we're not going to make a running back the first round. That will never happen again. Never say never, Rick. Never say never. Anything can happen late in the first round. I mean, that would be the interesting thing to me. I mean, we haven't seen the Chiefs in a long time have a pick that's not in the 30s. So if the Chiefs ended up 24 or something this year, I wonder what could happen. I mean, I think it would be in a position to move. You could move up or back a little bit. So maybe would play right into Brett Veach. So maybe he could move out of the first round and then get a running back. Who knows? But never say never, Rick. Never say never. Let's see where we are going next. We're getting close to the end, folks. So I think I might have to go ahead and issue the last call. If you got some questions, make sure you get it in here next couple of minutes, because we are getting caught up into the end. We might finish before 9:00 tonight, folks, which I'm going to consider a small victory. Mitchell, why does it feel like every team I watch has a better pass rush than the Chiefs? Is that true? They probably all don't, Mitchell, but I understand why that feels like it could be true. I mean, the Chiefs pass rush has been disappointing. I mean, I'm looking at Denver's numbers. I mean, Benito has 9.5 sacks, Cooper 7.5, Allen 6, Karlaftis has 5, and then the Chiefs have 3 guys tied at 2 sacks. So not ideal. Chiefs are 21st in sacks, so not the worst. Should they be better? You'd like for them to be better. That's kind of one of the interesting things, is just that, the Chiefs have a good defense. I mean, they're number 4 in scoring. They're number 6 in yards allowed. The only concerning thing really is that their metrics are just so they're just not solid. I mean, this is I guess the best way to put it. You look at everything that they are in, and some of this, hey, a bad game can throw them off, because I know that they weren't 21st in third down percentage. They weren't 23rd in red zone, defense. Takeaways have been a problem. This isn't a takeaway defense, so that's an issue, and has been now for a few years. But I mean, that's the only thing that worries me a little bit about this defense, is that the fundamentals aren't great. And yeah, I mean, the pass rush, it's not the worst pass rush in the league. I know it absolutely sometimes may feel that way. It is not. So you have a little bit more faith in it. And again, I mean, I'm interested to see what happens in the second half of the season. I really do. I really am. I mean, it's just I want to see if this team's got some. If I just want to see if it's going to have more energy in the second half of the season than they had in the first, because that has been consistently the problem that this team has had. It's been an effort, and I mean, that's an issue at the pass rush. Pass rush has looked slow at times, Mitchell. It's looked slow and not super get after it. Now, Karlaftis is the leader of the pass rush, and he's the guy that got the best motor right now. So if he can get some help, if Chris Jones can start breaking loose and causing some problems, I mean, Chris, there's no doubt, has been effective. He's been effective at making sure that other guys have chances. George Karlaftis would not have 5 sacks without Chris Jones's help inside, but you need more from Chris if you want to have a top 10 pass rush instead of a top 20 pass rush or a top 21. No conscience. Do you know the reason why the Chiefs always have to play the Buffalo every year instead of each team taking turns hosting? Yes. The NFL has a rotation for everything. So I'm trying to remember, I believe it's in 8-year cycles. So there's no setup that says, Team A is playing Team B. I mean, well, let me put it this way. There's no system that just says like the Chiefs are playing at Buffalo next year. What the NFL has is a system that, if you're in the AFC West, you're going to play one division of every team in the AFC. So in addition to your own, you got 6 games in your own division. You got 4 games that you're going to play against another division. And let's see, in this case, they're playing, and you've got 3 games in the AFC. Well, 2 games, because you got one division you're playing entirely. Then you have 2 more games in the AFC that are depending on who wins first place in each of the divisions. So there's all, helping me count now, I'm getting up to 12 games already. Then you play an entire division over in the NFC, and then you play one team in the NFC that matches where you finished in the standings the year before. So Chiefs, play a first place team from the NFC, which was Detroit this year. It just so happens that, whether like for instance, the Chiefs are going to play at playing at Buffalo next year because it's their year to play the AFC, and next year is the year that the Chiefs just will play at Buffalo in the rotation. I'm trying to remember the last time. Well, I guess it would have probably been like 8 years ago, because like I said, it's all an 8-year rotation. So I guess maybe 7. It probably would have been the 2018 season. I guess I'd have to go back and look at it. It's probably when the Chiefs had Buffalo at Kansas City. But most of these matchups that the Chiefs and Buffalo have every year, most of them are dependent on the first place team playing another first place team in the AFC. And that, I'd have to look at it. I mean, it may just be that maybe the NFL's just been really lazy with it. I feel like that they do alternate that, and maybe it's just the way that the rotation has fallen. I mean, the Chiefs have played Buffalo at home. It's been a few years, but this was a year, 2025 was a year that the Chiefs were scheduled to play. Well, let me take that back. This was just the year that the last year's champion of the AFC West was scheduled to play the champion of the AFC East on the road. So, I mean, yes. So, I mean, that's just how it ended up. I mean, those 2 teams were not necessarily intended to play each other this year. But in 2 years ago it should have been 2 years ago. I'd have to go back and look at the rotation. I would assume that in 2024 it would have been. Oh man! Well, I'm explaining this very, very poorly and without the schedule in front of me, but that's how it ends up happening. I mean, no, God, it's literally, it's nothing about the 2 teams in their spots. I mean, there is a rotation as far as when the AFC West and the AFC East plays each other. That is balanced so that those two teams in that 8-year cycle, they're going to play each other, the same number of times at home and on the road. But then every time that the Chiefs and the Bills play each other, simply because they finished in the exact same spot in the standings, that's a different part of the setup. So that's how you can end up with the Chiefs and Buffalo playing each other every year. But maybe it just, in part of the rotation goes away, the schedule falls, that it's going to end up in Buffalo more often than maybe it is in Kansas City. And that I'd have to look about why. It just seems like it's been Buffalo. And I'd have to look at the whole 8-year rotation and see why it's kind of fallen that way. But it's never anything specific to a team. I mean, it's just the way that it falls. But again, I mean, Chiefs are going to be playing in Buffalo next year because the rotation has the Chiefs playing at Buffalo because they're playing everybody in the AFC East next year. Just the way it works. Let's see. And then I lost my place. Oh, sorry, folks. Aha! Thank you, Decimus. I appreciate that. Now I will say the correct thing. Decimus. I love it. Great name. Great graphic. Love it all. Let's see. I know I will. Here, I should remember where it was because I knew we were getting close to the end. Cliff Kingsbury, as Patrick Mahomes' offensive coordinator for Andy Reid, would be very interesting. And I know it wouldn't happen right now because he's the coordinator in Washington. Yeah, and they would not let the Chiefs interview him. You have to get permission for lateral moves, and there is no way that any team in the NFL that has Cliff Kingsbury as their coordinator is letting the Chiefs interview that man. They let him interview with any other team in the league before they let the Chiefs get their hands on Cliff Kingsbury. So, interesting question here, Sean. This might get me in trouble, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Should the NFL be worried with NBA gambling problem going on? I mean, I've thought about this quite a bit. On the one hand of it, I mean, maybe not, because the football is a harder sport to have some of those issues, especially, I mean, if you're talking about over-unders, anything of that nature, I mean, I think it's a little bit harder sport to fix. I mean, it's a harder sport to, I think, determine an outcome. Now, hey, could you have some of the same issues if you've got a receiver that's got over-under of 45 yards that week and, it's got 33 yards and all of a sudden it's like, I got a hammy, coach. I got to come out of here. Could that happen? Yeah, it absolutely could. And I think it should probably be more of a concern in the NFL because they've got more players who honestly are making less money. I mean, NBA rosters are smaller. The lowest paid guys on NBA teams are still making more money than a lot of NFL players. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, I think rookie base pay in the NBA pays more than first round draft pick money for rookies, maybe even 4-year players. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at where the NBA numbers are, but just because of the size of the rosters and there's fewer players, there's a lot more money going around. So, yeah, I mean, I think it could be even more of a problem. Like I said, I think the one thing that the NFL has going for it is just that I think it's a harder sport overall to do that with. But today's day and age of betting with what you have, and like I said, I mean, you got over and under on players, like baseball, I mean, I don't bet like this on the NFL, so I don't think that to my knowledge, there's not a lot of options. Maybe there are options out there where, you can bet on, whether the first play of the game is a pass or a, run. I mean, that's obviously what was happening with Cleveland kind of in a way, the first pitch of an inning, what it was going to be from a reliever or starter. I do think it should be a concern, a lot bigger concern than the NFL. is concerned about. I mean, I know that there are a lot of things and steps the NFL takes to try and make sure that nothing does go on. Is that better than what goes on in the NBA? I do not know. Does the NFL investigate these things better and make sure that nothing happens? Maybe so. I don't know, but I think they absolutely should be worried. Jesus, do reporters hate the bye week? Oh, no, we do not. Now, there's some people for whom it's indifferent. Like TV and radio, they usually have things going on regardless. So there's probably not much of a difference to them. And I mean, obviously, there's just a little bit less for them to keep track of that week. So it's probably a little bit okay. Maybe they can slack off a little bit. Guys like Nick, can't slack off too much because they got high school playoff football to cover that week, and that's probably even more annoying and more time challenging than covering the NFL. But at least they get their Sunday or their Monday night off or whatever. So no, that is literally the first thing that every beat reporter and NFL player and coach does when they see the schedule is look to see when the bye week is. And we love the thing. It's the best week of the season for most of us. It's at least your chance to get some sleep and get caught up on some things. So no, there is no, I don't know anyone who hates the bye week. Jesus, it's the best week of the year, and the later, the better. And I'll tell you what, the best thing, Chiefs have had a bye week on Thanksgiving a couple of times. That's the absolute best. Because, and now this will be my first time covering a game on Thanksgiving. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember if the Chiefs have had one. I mean, I feel like maybe there was one. But I'll tell you this, there's nothing worse than covering an NFL game on Sunday, Thanksgiving week, because the only good day of the week is Wednesday. Thursday, at least in Kansas City, I'm sure most teams are like this. They let their players have the day off they let them off early. So they'll come in, usually they'll practice a little bit early. And then afterwards, there's nobody around. I mean, I'm trying to remember. I mean, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Chiefs even move around their coordinator availability and everything like that, so that they don't even do anything on the podium on Thanksgiving Day. Won't have to worry about this year. I mean, they're going to be playing on Thanksgiving Day, but you're pretty much just only going there for open locker room, and everybody in that locker room is trying to get out of there and go home as fast as they possibly can. So Thursday is just a complete waste. Friday is a lot of fun. At least in Kansas City, because every year, we just put on the Black Friday. We'll put on college football. You get to watch. That's the weekend when all the college basketball teams are playing in ballrooms and the Jamaica and all this kind of thing. And so you get to watch some fun, crazy basketball games. That's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. Great time to be had, but Thanksgiving is the worst week to be covering the NFL. Be a little bit different for covering the Thanksgiving game. I mean, that will be a little bit different, and I'm not too worried about missing dinner or anything like that. That's not a big deal, but just covering during a normal, playing on Sunday, Thanksgiving week is the worst. Bumpa, it would be unacceptable to miss the playoffs with a healthy Mahomes. Someone would have to get fired, right? It's an interesting question, because I think I would agree with the first half of your question there, Bumpa. Unacceptable to miss the playoffs with a healthy Mahomes? Yes, it would be. And I really don't think it's going to happen. I mean, but let's say it does. Let's say it does. I mean, I'm trying to imagine the scenario where that happens. And I still feel like a lot of injuries would have to happen around Mahomes. But do I think that the Chiefs would fire anyone? I mean, if they did not make the playoffs this year and Mahomes was healthy, I mean, you're not firing Andy Reid. Andy Reid's not getting fired. Brett Veach, not getting fired. I mean, are you firing a coordinator? I mean, could it end up being bad for someone? I mean, I don't think that at this point you look at the Chiefs defense this year and say that you're firing Steve Spagnolo if the Chiefs don't make the playoffs. And I mean, again, at the record that they are, I mean, I think to miss the playoffs, the Chiefs would have to have a fairly epic collapse. So they'd have to have something go terribly, terribly wrong. So maybe a coordinator, maybe an assistant coach, maybe the Chiefs offensive line falls apart, and all of a sudden, we put Andy Heck back on the hot seat. That would be the scenario, but I'll be honest. I mean, I could not see a scenario, Bumpa, where the Chiefs missed the playoffs this year, and anybody like that, like Brett Veach or Andy Reid, there's no hot seat there whatsoever. So, again, I mean, it would have. We'll see. I mean, if the Chiefs lost the next 7 games and therefore missed the playoffs, and then Patrick Mahomes was healthy, how did it happen? We'd have to figure that out. I mean, we'd have to come up with it. And like I said, I just have a hard time imagining this scenario. I mean, the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs. It's just whether or not they're going to be in a good spot, or going to have to go on the road and play 3 road games to get to a Super Bowl. I mean, I think that's going to be the big question in the second half of the season. If they can catch the Broncos, and if they can track down a better seed, I mean, whether they're going to be 2, 3, 4, 1, whatever it may be. I mean, I just can't imagine this team missing the playoffs. But if they do, put a pin in this one, because there's going to be somebody that everybody's going to want to get rid of. Rick, how do you hold that information in your head? Did you give up sucralose? To my knowledge, I have not been having any sucralose, so maybe that's part of it. So who knows? But I can't say that I'm holding a lot of information in my head, because obviously I still continue to forget people's names. But I've been doing that for my entire life. I've been doing that since I was like 8 years old. So couldn't even remember the people I went to like 2nd grade with. And there's still people. I mean, there's people I'll be talking about from like growing up and everything, and I'll realize I've gotten like 2 people confused. So, and I'm probably fortunate because to be able to actually do remember some people I grew up with better, because I went to a school system that we were all in the same group from K through 12. It was a relatively large elementary school that fed into a very small junior high that then filled into a medium high school. But the people who went to my elementary school, I mean, we went to the same school, elementary, junior high, high school. So there was people I went to school with for like 13 years. So most of them I kind of remember. I just still confuse every once in a while and get them confused because I'm terrible with names and faces. But all right, we're almost getting there, folks. So if you have stuck it through here, kudos to you. In case anyone noticed and you were wondering why I appeared a little distracted early in the show, it was because I was taking one of the notes that I had been given about writing down the time. So it's going to be easier to put chapters on this, because I do a 3-hour live stream, and then putting chapters on this becomes a nightmare. I tried to use AI, ChatGPT. Basically, I gave an assignment to ChatGPT about putting chapters into for the YouTube video, and ChatGPT basically told me, no, not going to do that. Now I don't know why I'm out of focus. That is not me, obviously. I'm not myself out of focus. So hopefully my camera's going to wake up here in a minute. I think that's probably a sign that we're getting down to the bottom bits of tonight. Probably time to move on. But we got a couple more questions to go. Albert, is this Broncos game the biggest regular season game in the Mahomes era? Ooh. I mean, I'm trying to remember a specific game, and this is probably where, Rick, my memory is going to get me. But man, because I feel like that there have been bigger ones. I mean, this is an important one, but I mean, I feel like that they probably. I feel like there's one, or like I said, I'm trying to think of like a specific game that I can tell you was a bigger regular season game than this one. You guys are probably thinking of some. I need to look and see if you came up with any of the suggestions. Because I mean, I feel like I said, I feel like this is a big one, but it's not. It's critical to the AFC West. It's critical to getting a better seed if you want a chance at the 1 seed whatsoever. I mean, I still don't think this is like a game that would knock the Chiefs out of the playoffs. That's not that wouldn't do it. Is this a must win? My answer to that when I get asked that is that sort of. I mean, once again, I mean, if you want to accomplish the goals that the Chiefs had starting the season, which is to win the AFC West first, yeah, this is a must win. Like I said, the season's not over if they don't win this game. So in the Mahomes era, I mean, I feel like that last game of the 2019 season to make sure that they had a chance at the 1 seed was pretty important. Gosh, this is where I'm terrible sometimes in thinking about individual games. I mean, I'm probably missing some others, Albert, but in a sense, I can't like tell you a specific game that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. You could certainly make the point. I don't think I could argue it with you. I mean, again, I think this is an important game. It's not the end all be all, but it's important. I mean, they need a sense of urgency because it's an important game, not only just to me for getting what you want done and accomplished for your goals, but also for, just sending a message to make your life easier down the road. Let some teams know that you're not to be trifled with and that you're ready to go out there and step on some people because Chiefs haven't done that in a while. Mizzou 19, did I make any pizza over the bye week or lately at all? I tell you what, it has unfortunately been way too long since I have made some pizza. I'm very disappointed in myself. Nancy tried to talk me into making some pizza this week, last week, and it just seemed like my schedule was never conducive because when I make pizza, it's like a 4 to 6 hour endeavor because I like make the dough myself and shred the cheese and prep all the ingredients, myself. I don't usually. I mean, I used to get a little bit more involved because I don't know. Look at me. I'm not a veggie on my pizza kind of guy. So back in the day, Nancy more pretty much either sausage and mushroom or pickle and meat. She likes cheeseburger pizzas. So those would be the ones that I make for her. So I don't make like supreme pizzas anymore with a bunch of vegetables, but because of those, I would prep myself. But I do make my own dough, do make my own sauce. Like I said, shred my own cheese, usually use fresh mozzarella. If I'm going all in. So like I said, it can be a long endeavor. And so I have not done it in a while. I am getting in trouble for the fact that I haven't done it in a while. I am overdue. I am probably a little out of practice. So I guess I need to get back to it. Thanks for asking. I appreciate that. Jesus, good question. I mean, who is Nick? I don't know anymore. I only know that this guy that I do 41 is the mic with on Sundays. I guess I don't even know the guy anymore that used to do the Q&A. I am kidding. Do not listen to that, Nick. I am just kidding. Do not. I just enjoying his day off. And like I said, he'll come back if I ever promise him that I can keep the show under an hour. Mizzou 19, when is Nick going to go on the radio again? I need a suggestions over the radio waves. So much more Chiefs people here. I agree. Hey, anybody's a producer out there, you need to have Nick on your show like once a week. Nick's best analyst in town that I know. So I'm all for it, Mizzou 19. I'm with you. Jesus, the Thanksgiving Chiefs Digest schedule. Well, I mean, at this point, I am not planning on traveling. There's part of me that really, really wants to because covering. I mean, I didn't have scheduled to go to any of the games this year. This was the only game that I was considering traveling to because covering Chiefs Cowboys on Thanksgiving is like a bucket list thing for me. So not going to this game I feel like I got serious FOMO about not, getting on the schedule for this. It's but so the in-laws are trying to work out a schedule. It sounds like they're going to just have Thanksgiving without me and then send me home some leftovers, so maybe I can have that at halftime or post game. But no, I'll probably, just like a normal 3:25-ish game, late afternoon game, just get up in the morning, and this, at least in this case, you get that early game, and it's a tradition. I mean, I normally, if the Chiefs are playing, I don't pay attention much to the early game. For Thanksgiving, I probably will. So probably just watch that game up until when the Chiefs get ready. But if I'm not traveling and working from home, really my day doesn't get really in earnest until about 2 hours before the game. You got inactives that come out 90 minutes before. So that's when I kind of start getting to work, and then you got the game, and then I will be. I always talk to Locked On Chiefs, if at all possible. There's a few exceptions, but I always talk to Locked On Chiefs after games. Road games usually right after the game is over, or about an hour after the game is over, with some of their new commitments. I do Sports Radio 810 post-game show here in town in Kansas City you can listen to. And then obviously Nick and I, once he's done with Sportscast and everything at KSHB 41, then we do 41 is the mic, and somewhere in there I actually get time to write every once in a while. So that's my Thanksgiving schedule. I'll probably, unless there's anything pops up, Jesus, I'll probably try to sleep in, so it'll be a long day. So probably wake up between 9 and 10, and then kind of get going from there. Jesus, Nick's TikTok nature video is all Nick. I mean, I don't think he used AI for any of it. I mean, I know, shot it on his phone, did all the acting. Don't remember where all the music came from. But Nick is a tremendous editor. So I know he put his own little spit polish on that. So that's just Nick's natural talent. So if I wanted to do that, I'd probably have to have some AI, but not Nick. He's too talented. Kevin Holmes, Desmond Watson, defensive tackle, was just released from Tampa Bay's practice squad. The Chiefs signed him 2 hours to stop the tush push. I mean, you're going to see the tush push a few more times. They've got a spot. I mean, honestly, they need a defensive tackle, Kevin. So I would be seriously interested. Yeah, I mean, there's anybody that pops up like that, I would be interested in. So, oh no, I forgot that was the guy that was 425 pounds. Yeah, well, I'm trying to think about how well he would get along with Spags. I mean, I guess it might be worth a try. Nobody else figured out a way to stop the tush push, so maybe that might be worth it. I haven't been super impressed with his get off, but hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to think outside the box, Kevin. So I'm not opposed to it. The Chiefs actually need defensive tackle help, although I think he's still a little bit. I mean, even for playing for Florida, he's still a little bit raw. But man, I would also put him in the backfield as a fullback and just run behind him, and I think you could probably be successful with that too. Carol, last question. Unless anything else pops up, why did Andy get fired in Philadelphia? His last year in Philadelphia obviously was really, really tough. If you don't remember, his son passed away during training camp. I think they finished 4-12 that season, if I'm not mistaken, but it could have been worse than that. But I think it was 4-12. They had been struggling. Andy had complete control in Philadelphia, so he was the GM as well. That was one of the reasons why he was comfortable not having complete control in Kansas City and was absolutely fine. He did not want that responsibility in Kansas City because it was too much. It really was having both those responsibilities. So I think obviously that was a tough year. He had a rookie quarterback that year. They had injuries, obviously, were an issue, but Philadelphia had been kind of in decline. I mean, they'd had a couple of rough seasons, and Andy's message was probably wearing a little bit thin. That seems to happen in Philadelphia. I think it's just a tough place to coach. I mean, you've seen a lot of, and the fact that Andy never got over the hump there. So, there wasn't the, hey, Andy Reid won us a Super Bowl. He'd at that point only been to one Super Bowl. That wasn't enough to have the goodwill to survive some losing seasons. And I think at that point, I think both sides needed a fresh start. Andy needed a fresh start. So, I mean, it was a lot going on, Carol. I mean, all those things made it logical. I mean, there was an understanding why the Eagles decided to move on, and Chiefs were very fortunate because he just needed a change of scenery at the exact right time. And I think obviously Andy learned some things from those last few years in Philadelphia that did not go well, so he did not repeat those things in Kansas City. Having John Dorsey in place as the general manager who had that control, and now he's got Brett Veach, so he's not living with the just day-to-day rigors of both those jobs is huge. So I think that's been a big part of his success in Kansas City. And Mitchell now gets the final question. Do you agree Nick would make a great coach for the Chiefs if he applied? Do you think they would hire him? I'll say this for Nick, and I think he would agree with me. I think he would be a better scout. I think he'd be a better guy in the front office. So I need Nick watching as much film as possible. I need him going over every draft pick. I need him scouring the free agent market. I need him looking at all that stuff. I mean, he's a great talent evaluator. I mean, his draft results, the award that he won this year for having the most accurate draft predictions for over 2,000 submissions, and that media contest was incredibly impressive. He does extremely well in all of those things. I trust his evaluations as much as any person working in the NFL. I feel like he should absolutely apply for jobs across the NFL in the front office and for scouting departments, because I think he would be an incredible one. And somebody should hire him. The Chiefs should absolutely hire Nick as a scout. I mean, I think he would be absolutely aces at that. Everybody, we're done. We're going to get out here early tonight, so you have your evening to yourself, and maybe I'll be able to actually get the chapters on this one. I think I started that story and then got distracted. I was trying to write down the times of each of the questions that was popping up, and I realized it was just too annoying because every time that I was writing down the time and trying to just jot down the one or two words for the topic, I was basically stopping talking because I can't multitask anymore. So I was not able to write down, 7:19, Josh Simmons. And I was like, if I do this for the next 2 hours, I'm going to drive people absolutely batty. So that system went down the wayside. But you know what? We'll try something else. But I'm still going to try and put chapters up. So when folks come back and they want to just watch one specific thing, you don't have to go through all 2 hours. Everybody, thank you, Mitchell, for the kind words. Appreciate all of our super chatters that took part tonight. Brother Rick, Jesus, Pete. All the best. Thank you very much for that. Always appreciate that. Got a normal week of football this week. Like I mentioned at the top, Chiefs will have their availability on Wednesday. We will hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, a couple of other players on the podiums. I'll be heading to the locker room to see whom I can find, and we'll see where we find Josh Simmons. Thursday, the coordinators as always. Then Friday, Andy Reid and select players again on the podium. Chris Jones on Thursday as well as always is the schedule. And then big game, Chiefs at Broncos on Sunday afternoon. And later that night, once again, Nick and I will get together for 41 is the mic, and that will be in your stream probably with the timing of the game and Nick's work schedule. I would say it's probably not going to be until late Sunday, early Monday that you'll get that. But at the very least, it will be in your queue for your morning commute or whatever your process is for your Monday morning quarterbacking. Nick and I will be there with the next episode of 41 is the mic. Everybody have a great week. Enjoy yourselves. Take care, everybody. And we will talk to you. You'll hear